Good evening. I'd like to welcome, I am Bob Severns, Oak Harbor Mayor, and I would like to welcome you this evening to a regular Oak Harbor City Council meeting. It is October 19th, 6 p.m., the normal starting time for our meetings. I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time and ask Pastor Greg Steible from the Whidbey Presbyterian Church to give us an invocation, and following that, I will invite you to stand. I'm inviting you to stand for the invocation and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which I will lead. Pastor Greg?
Yes, thank you. Greetings all from Whidbey Presbyterian Church. Please take a moment with me while I pray. Holy Lord God of the universe, who lives and moves and breathes through all, I give you thanks this day for our home, for this town and the diverse people and interests in it, for this island and all the communities on it, for the changing weather, the refreshing rain, the brisk wind, the bright green grass that surrounds us. And I ask that you'd be with all this evening. Give this body wisdom and discernment yet again, so that by your power and their hard work, our community may continue to be a place of warmth and welcome, that we may grow together in cooperation, seeking unity and communal support. May the dealings of this body and all who live here be blessed by your grace. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Steible. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So due to COVID-19, this will be both a physical meeting location and a virtual meeting per Washington Proclamation 20-28. I see Councilor Eisen and myself are attending virtually, and I believe we have the rest of our council in the council chambers, except for one. But due to Governor Inslee's most recent order, masks are required for everyone in council chambers, regardless of vaccination status. City staff are participating via teleconference. Guests that are included in staff presentations will be excused from the Ring Central meeting at the conclusion of their agenda item as appropriate. Tonight's meeting may be viewed via YouTube and on cable channel 10, and that's 10 HD 1090. So at this time, I will ask our City Clerk, Julie, to do a roll call. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Munns?
Present.
Councilmember Heisen?
Present.
Councilmember Servadius?
Present.
Councilmember Wassinger?
Present.
Councilmember Mack? Present. Councilmember Wiesner?
Present.
Mayor, Councilmember Goebel has indicated she will be unable to join us this evening and will need to be excused.
I'll entertain a motion to excuse. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I move that Millie Goebel be excused from the city council meeting tonight.
Second.
Okay, then a motion and a second to excuse Councilor Goebel from our meeting tonight. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilor Wassinger. All in favor, signify by raising your hand, please, or saying aye. Looks like we've got all hands raised that are present, so that's 6. Okay, so we'll move then on to the approval of the agenda. Not seeing any suggested changes in that. The agenda will be approved as presented. Then we'll just continue on towards our, okay, no presentations this evening, so we will, special presentations, we will go to the citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on subjects of interest not listed on the agenda or items listed on the consent agenda. Citizens may also comment on on corresponding agenda items. In this hybrid meeting format, citizens can attend and give comment in person or via the online comment form at www.ocarver.org/public comment, or email the city clerk at jlindsey@ocarver.org prior to 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting, or call 360-279-4571 to leave a voicemail to be played during the council meeting. Call to leave a voicemail after 5 p.m. on the Friday preceding the meeting and prior to 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. When leaving a voicemail for public comment, please state your name first, or your first and last name clearly, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We received no new public comments since our last council meeting. And are there any members of the public present who wish to speak? If so, the clerk will call your name in the order that you've signed. Please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address. Does not look like we have anyone here for public comment. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. And I believe tonight's consent agenda has items A through D. And if we have no questions there, then Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to pull C, eSignature contract.
Okay. So item number C. And so the items A, B, and D will be approved as presented. And we'll go back to the item C, eSignature contract. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So in looking at the scores and the companies that were picked and stuff, I can understand why staff has decided to pick the DocSign. But what I don't know is, since this is brand new to us, why are we willing to sign a 3-year contract? Shouldn't we wait a year or maybe just 2 to see if it's working for us in the right way? Why is it 3? Because I didn't see, unless my brain went zip, that we would get our money back if we signed a 3-year. We would be obligated for 3 years, I believe. Can someone answer that, please?
So I see our Sandra Place has joined us. Sandra, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, we initially put the 36 months in the contract because we wanted to align it with the budget cycles. That was the initial point. We can go year by year if you would like to do that. But the reason is we did put that 36 in the RFP.
So if, let's say, a year and a half we're into that and it's not working how we thought and we've had the people come out, will we lose? Do we still owe till the end of the 36 months, or?
No, there is a clause in there that we can get out of the contract, as all the contracts have, Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if there was a savings. If we signed up for 3 years, then, the 3rd year it was going to be less or something. But, okay, that sounds reasonable as long as we can get out of it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, would you like to move for passage of that, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I would. I move that we accept on the consent agenda 4C eSignature contract.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second to accept the 4C eSignature contract as in 4C. A motion made by Mayor Pro Tem and second by Councilor Rossinger. Seeing no questions, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And I see Tara's hand is up, so that passes unanimously. Okay, so we will go on to the couple of things for mayor comments. First off, upcoming events. The drive-through trick-or-treat event in the forest area by the Oak Harbor Chamber is set for Friday, October 29th. So that's not actually on Halloween. That's Friday, October 29th from 3 to 5. And then the No Tricks, Safe Treats, downtown Oak Harbor Pioneer Way, and that's Saturday, October 30. And that's from 3 until 5 p.m. So that's Saturday, October 30, and that's downtown Oak Harbor. No treats, no tricks, safe treats. There will be treats, no tricks. Okay. With that, I've got a response that I'd like to make at this time. I heard at the last meeting, in the limited time I spent in the executive session, the city council's concerns about our city administrator and their motion of no confidence. I've had time to study the motion. This topic is creating a distraction for our staff by creating more work and stress for them. I'm not sure that city council is aware that considering possible termination of a city administrator may lead to additional resignations or departures because city staff may feel uncertain about their future at the city. Due to the great resignation we are seeing across the globe, and because of the COVID-19 worldwide pandemic and other factors, it is difficult to find employees who want to come work in the city of Oak Harbor, and if they do, it is hard for them to find housing. This is why this topic is challenging, because I know how hard our staff is working to assist the community during the pandemic. I also know how difficult it has been for them when their offices stayed open far more than most other Washington municipalities. We were fortunate and did not have to lay off or furlough any employees. Unlike many other cities, however, some staff made the personal choice for various reasons to resign from employment. Our staff is amazing, and they are working with community partners to continue to engage with the community, and we're able to return events to the community as soon as the governor approved them. In my opinion, this type of achievement is due to the success of all levels of our staff, including our department leaders and our city administrator. In review of the 8 points that Mayor Pro Tem Munns read, I feel that the information is incomplete and missing details in its depiction of the situation at the city of Oak Harbor. I want to take some time tonight to tell maybe the rest of the story and set the record straight. We will ask staff to display each item as I read the response to allow the community to understand what I am speaking about. Please start with their concern in the motion with item number 1. This information does not appear to include all the facts. It is unclear how a percentage of 65% is determined from 90 employees. Additionally, 90 employees is not the number of employees on the list that city staff received as part of the request from the Whidbey News-Times. The list from Whidbey News-Times was 89 individuals. Of those listed, there are a variety of normal reasons for leaving employment, and it is untrue to connect those employees' departures to the hiring of Mr. Oborn without proof. I have not received proof, therefore it is unfair to refer to this as a, quote, mass exodus, or even call it alarming. In looking at exit interviews and records for departures, I found the start date of Mr. Oborn is listed incorrectly. Mr. Oborn started at the city on August 16th and not on July 10th of 2018, as noted in that motion. 2 individuals left employment on the day after City Administrator Oborn started, and I would assume their notice was given prior to his start date, unless City Council has proof or records stating they specifically left because Mr. Oborn was hired as a new city administrator. There is no correlation in these events. 2 individuals on the list were city council members, one of which left his position because he moved out of the city It is unfair to categorize these individuals as being impacted by the city administrator. 17 were paid on-call firefighters. This is typically a short-term position. 15 were seasonal laborers who are only on staff for a short-term assignment. 7 were individuals that decided to retire. 9 moved out of state. Additionally, Chief Dresker researched law enforcement personnel that left and found that some retired for medical reasons and some moved away. According to Chief Dresker's knowledge, these 13 individuals did not leave due to the city administrator, but instead for personal events or policy changes from the legislature. I would appreciate it if City Council would provide how they identified 65% of staff, 90 employees, or the date range they are referencing. If City Council were to ask Human Resources Director Emma House for an update on recent staff departures, I'm sure she can provide one. Emma is well versed on the recent impacts to employment, including factors like the Great Resignation and senior tsunami. She is doing a wonderful job of recruiting staff for our city. So item number 2, I did not receive specific examples of workplace issues from City Council in the executive session. It would be helpful if they had included these examples during the meeting. I find this complaint interesting because I have heard similar complaints about City Council from supervisors and staff, and some of these were delivered to the comment box in City Hall. However, I think this is a larger topic that we should be working on together instead of pointing fingers. So item number 3, I am unclear how the city administrator is negligent when he provides a report each month during the city council workshop. He asks for feedback and has revised that report. He's increased the amount of information, and then at Mayor Pro Tem's request, he tried decreasing the report. He also provides city council with an opportunity to ask questions. Additionally, the city administrator and I offered to meet with city council members on a regular basis, and some council members have participated. These meetings are an opportunity to discuss items with city leadership. The mention of the road access to the Harbor Heights Sports Complex is unfortunate. Our staff worked hard on this project, and Mr. Oborn is the one who lobbied to receive the funding for the project. I'm sad to learn from staff that the project is delayed, as staff advised City Council about this potential during past meetings. It may not be built by the original timeline due to these delays. Staff worked hard through multiple staff and leadership changes in a pandemic that decreased their ability to provide outreach to the public in ways that we used to. Staff is working on additional updates in the future to City Council, and I look forward to hearing about the next steps. The traffic consultant work was originally scheduled as part of the project, and the work was authorized within the city administrator's authority to identify the full project costs to allow staff to apply for earmarked grants from the federal government. If City Council did not favor the decision from the traffic study, they should have emailed me or the city administrator to request a City Council presentation on this before moving forward. I also want to clarify for the community that when the traffic study is referred to as a, quote, marketing report, end quote, it is an incorrect reference. A traffic study is a technical report from engineering experts about traffic patterns to assist project engineers in determining the safer options for projects. The use of language by City Council should be respectful of the work that staff produces. It is unfortunate that some word choices by City Council led to the city engineer feeling as though he was accepting the blame in the public eye. Civil discourse between City Council and staff is a way to avoid these types of interaction, and I look forward to working with staff more on this in the future. Some cities develop a council code of ethics. Additionally, you mentioned an email dated September 9, 2021, and accused the city administrator of instructing the interim public works director of sending it. This is not factual. It is false. I've spoken with the interim public works director. This type of instruction is a tool to eliminate distractions for staff by scheduling meetings and providing them to prepare for the topic or questions they will be asked by city council. It also prevents the city from inadvertently holding serial meetings. The interim public works director did this to assist staff and increase morale. What is damaging to employee morale is stress from being interrupted from a task to engage with or respond to questions about a topic. Our staff needs to be able to focus, take breaks, take phone calls, and work on items without being concerned about who is coming into their workspace. Staff should only have to report to their supervisors or directors. Item number 4, I want to correct the comments about the employee survey because of the misinformation regarding what happened and the steps that we are taking to address it. When I was out of town on vacation, I asked Mayor Pro Tem Munns in her role as mayor tempore to lead the city council meeting in my absence. Without speaking to myself or other city council members first, Mayor Pro Tem Munns and Councilmember Servatius decided to announce an employee survey. As the mayor, I am the chief executive officer of the city, and they're the legislative, in charge of the legislative decisions and budgeting. They do not manage the day-to-day operations. I do. It was inappropriate for them to announce a survey like this without discussing it with myself or the city council first, or the rest of the city council. I wanted to move forward without explaining that this was not handled through proper protocol. But unfortunately, some city council members want to continue to bring it up, and I want to correct the reasons that the survey was placed on hold and did not move forward after it was announced. Additionally, while researching the survey options, our legal counsel at the time advised us that anonymous surveys and their value was under a lot of scrutiny nationwide. With this in mind, our staff is taking time to investigate a more feasible way of gathering employee feedback. I wish this process was moving faster, but we're a very busy city and dealing with a global pandemic. Sometimes everything cannot be a priority. I am taking time to meet with employees who have work anniversaries to informally find out what they think about working for our city, and I am enjoying what I'm learning from them about their service and ways that we can improve. Bottom line is that to characterize the survey announced by Mayor Pro Tem Munns and Councilmember Servatius as being thwarted by Mr. Oborn is simply untrue. It's not fair. Item number 5, for clarification, the contract the city had with Weed, Grafstra and Associates was set to expire on December 31, 2021. The city included options for providing future legal counsel to be discussed at a city council workshop. While former city attorney Grant Weed and assistant city attorney Anna Thompson submitted their resignations recently, Mr. Weed submitted notice that he was planning to retain only a few clients, would be turning over and had sold his legal business to 3 other attorneys in the firm. He later gave an initial termination notice of his contract to December 31 and then submitted a letter to reduce the time he would continue to work for the city to November 19. Out of concern for providing legal counsel and additional notifications to terminate service from Mr. Weed, the city sought out an interim attorney to fill that role. I have not received a notice of what additional concerns Ms. Thompson or Mr. Weed had regarding the city administrator or myself. After over 2 hours with city council and executive session, I was hoping to receive some more specific information about their testimonies to city council that I was not allowed to participate in. Item number 6. I want to set the record straight that when I was, quote, incapacitated, end quote, as depicted by Mayor Pro Tem Munns, City Administrator Olborn contacted City Attorney Grant Weed and was informed that we did not need to take additional action at the time because I was not incapacitated. I do not feel it is appropriate to discuss my personal medical situation publicly. In regards to the process, Oak Harbor Municipal Code Section 205.020 Administrative Officer says, the city administrator shall be the administrative executive officer for the city under the direction and authority of the mayor. The city administrator shall also have all duties and authority assigned to the city supervisor by city ordinance. And under RCW 35A 1206.5 does not apply as I was not incapacitated as stated in the motion read by Mayor Pro Tem. Per RCW 35A 12-100, I requested the city clerk ask Mayor Pro Tem Munns via email to lead meetings in my absence in accordance with the Oak Harbor Municipal Code, RCW, and Council Rule number 5, that states the mayor shall preside over all meetings of the council or in his or her absence by the Mayor Pro Tem, as advised by then council, Mr. Grant Weed. As stated previously, City Administrator Olborn and my administration staff had regular communications with me because I was able to participate in government duties with some modifications. Staff set up a desk where I was recuperating and provided the necessary resources for me to continue to conduct city business. Item number 7, I'm not sure how recent this meeting was that the city council is referring to. In the spring, archaeologist Gideon Kaufman took over as the liaison and is doing a fantastic job for our Arts Commission. Administrator Olborn has not been in attendance one of those meetings since March of 2021. Finally, item number 8. This is an inaccurate understanding of the city administrator position. The job description for the city administrator states, city administrator is directly accountable to the office of the mayor for the overall leadership and direction of the city's management team. The city administrator serves under the direct and primary supervision of the mayor for overall coordination and delivery of customer services and for development and implementation with the mayor of budgets, major projects, and capital improvements. The position attends council meetings and workshops, maintains close relations with the mayor, and in conjunction with the mayor coordinates preparation of council agendas, bills, and reports. The position also provides overall supervision to department heads and indirectly to the city attorney, police chief, and fire chief, who report directly to the mayor. And together with department heads also coordinates and facilitates overall relations with boards, commissions, and other organizations. A city administrator's role is to provide supervision and management projects. He is not required to be the subject matter expert of all projects. He is not a police officer. He's not a firefighter. He's not an engineer. He's a manager expected to lead people, city policies, budget, and management. I am unclear which presentation specifically to his jobs that the city council believes he should be making instead of the staff working on it. For example, procurement projects are presented by the Central Services Procurement Supervisor because she is the expert on the purchasing process and the project in her role at the city, as we saw earlier in our meeting. In reference to regular meetings with me and updates that I receive, I can confirm that the city administrator leads the administration team and city leadership team meetings. He also has one-on-one meetings with me. So in summary, for this reason, I do not feel that city council made a clear case for not having confidence in in our city administrator. I am seeing that these types of actions by city council is part of the reason that the staff and community have low morale or fear of losing their jobs. I want to move on and move forward. It is my hope that city council will do so with me. My first step is to schedule an agenda item at the city council workshop later this month on the 27th at 2 p.m. to openly discuss ways for us to work together to improve employee morale. In preparation for the meeting, I'm going to ask all staff to submit their frustrations, their ideas that they have for improvement, or simply share their experiences with me to help us learn how we can positively impact employee morale. An email will go out this week with details for staff about this. My plan is to share information from staff with city council at the workshop during the open meeting and for us to discuss ideas I see that we can take to move forward. I want to hear their ideas. I want to hear their ideas for improvement. It is my hope we can take a step forward in the right direction by collaborating together. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. That's all I have for the mayor's comments, and I will turn to council for council comments. Councilor Wassinger.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. So I guess the first thing I want to say is I did have a phone conversation with our Parks Director this morning, and you know, you made some comments there about staff's time and us asking questions of staff. And I did that this morning, and I've been on council for 6 years, and I don't do it often, not every day by any means, but if I have a question on an agenda item on our workshop or meetings, I've always felt comfortable reaching out to any staff member at any level if it's regarding something that they're working on or have knowledge on. If that is something that needs to change, or staff is certainly not comfortable with that or feels like I'm infringing on their time or breaks, I would like to know that and be respectful, of course, of staff. So if that's something that needs to change or that I need to change my behaviors on, or any city council member, future, present, going forward, needs to know, we should probably make that really clear. That's regarding that. So that's what my comments are about. So I learned through Facebook that staff is asking for public comment on volunteer park entrance on 3rd and Glencoe. I really had no idea that this was even something that was being considered, and I didn't know if it was something that I missed on a workshop or something that, I know we got an email. I actually can't find the email from the interim public works director, but I've got a lot of public reaching out to me about this, and I reached out to the parks director this morning to just ask questions about it, about the process, where it was at, what was the thought process. I know that it's out for public comment right now, and I'm going to make a motion at the end of this, but I do have some concerns that I just would like to talk about in voice, and I know that this is not an agenda item tonight, so I'm not expecting staff or anyone to answer any questions, but I am going to put it out there just so that people can be thinking staff, and then I'll make a motion for a future discussion. But some of my questions are, has the city asked the school district about their plans for the park if the bond passes? I know that they're thinking of doing some big projects, and that park is actually land is owned by the school district. Has the city staff consulted with North Whidbey Little League about the use of that park and the entrance to the park there? They are the main users of that area, and that is the intended use, obviously, of a ball field. What is the plan if that parking is closed off for people that are going to park all along Glencoe and 3rd? I've used that park for years. I probably have used that park as much as any citizen in this community, and I can tell you that people are going to park in front of people's houses in the easements on Glencoe and 3rd if they're not allowed to park in the easement there. What are our minimum parking requirements for a recreational youth ball field? I tried to look it up. I tried to in our codes, and I couldn't find it. I could find it for every other type of business, but I couldn't find it for that specific use, a minimum parking requirements. And I know that we're going through that now with the big ball field, so that's something I'd like to have clarified. And then also, what land does the city actually own in that area? And what land does the school district own? I think that there should be a lot of thought process in this project before it's decided on, and I'd like to have a more in-depth discussion about the impacts, and I understand that there's a lot of safety issues. I've been on council for 6 years, and in that 6 years, I can count numerous times that in this setting and in workshops, I've talked about the problems in that specific area of our city. There are some major problems that go on there, and it is a concern. But I just want to make sure that there's a discussion of not restricting access for what that park is intended to be used for. And it's used for 6, sometimes 7 months if there's fall ball out of the year by families who need a place to park. And I want to make sure that we have adequate parking for those uses and not create a bigger problem going forward. So with that, I'm going to make a motion. I move to add a discussion item to our October 27th workshop regarding the 3rd and Glencoe Park entrance.
I'll second that.
Sorry about that. Okay, we have a motion to add an item to the workshop on the 27th. Clerk Julie, can you reread that motion?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Wassinger's motion is, I move to add a discussion item to our October 27th workshop regarding the 3rd and Glencoe Park entrance. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Munns.
Yeah, second by Mayor Pro Tem Munns. Seeing no questions or all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Looks like everybody is in favor. Okay, none opposed. That passes unanimously. Good. Thank you, Councilor Wassinger. Nice, that's well done. So we're still in council comment time. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So, thank you for your points. In looking at our employee handbook, when we have an interim person hired or put into place, it's for 90 days. And I haven't heard anything about our plan for hiring a new public works director. Has there, I'm not sure where we are in the 90 days since he was hired, but just wanting to know if we don't have advertisement out or whatever, what the plan is. Also, when will council expect to see a job description of what we want the new public director to do and the qualifications being required? I know that I had some good conversations with Emma House for our development service on looking at national averages, what the minimum was on education that they should have, and different, an organization they should belong to and stuff. So I was just curious on where we are on that. Also, in looking at the contract for our new city attorney, who I've met, and she's gung-ho, and so I'm pleased for the choice, Mayor, but it also, I think, is only supposed to be for 90 days, and you had it for much longer. So I didn't know if that was just an oversight, or I'm getting confused on the rules. When I first got on council, and same as you, we could go talk to any staff member if we had a question, and I don't think anybody has abused their time. I usually try to make an appointment. Is it convenient right now? Can I call you back? When can we meet? I mean, I did not want to be like some previous council members that would walk in 30 minutes before council, put down their packet and say, tell me what I need to know before I go in there. It's a business meeting. I don't want to see anybody hijacked or disciplined. But anyway, so I was just wanting to know where we are on those two things. If you don't mind, or in the future, please.
Okay, I think I heard three. You're concerned about Public Works and our city attorney and the contracts for hiring people, and you would like more information on each of those?
Well, just
then-
the deadlines. I think in our manual, it says 90 days for interim hires. And the contract for the new city attorney goes much longer than just 90 days. And I'm not sure exactly, I didn't take the time to go back. I was with family out of town on when Mick Monken was hired. And I'm guessing that we're at least a month and a half, if not 2 months into it, so we only have another month for the 90 days, what our plan is. You had said that we were going to, I think, have 2 council members on it and stuff, and I'm used to having HR say, hey, this is how we're going to advertise it, these are the requirements, this is what we're looking for, and we're not getting any information. I want to stay in my lane, but for almost 14 years, same with you, Mayor, we've been able to have access without having someone to keep tabs on who's talking to who, or, I feel very frustrated because there isn't a lot of communication. You're right. Mr. Oburn sends out about 600 pages of fluff. If I look back at Larry Court's, their little brief bullets he would do on Friday as he ate his cookies sitting in the room. And he would say, okay, for this week, new employee has started, or we just started advertising, or he would just go down, or somebody just had a birthday, or a child, or he just, anyway, at some point I would like to know what our plan is, your plan is, for hiring a new permanent Public Works Director, and the contract for the attorney, it looks good, but it's longer than 90 days. And so I'm confused what we have written and what is being actually done. That's all, just a question, sir.
Okay. I'll certainly look at both of those contracts and communicate with you on those. I certainly will do that, and anybody else on council that's interested.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilor Servadius.
Thank you. I was just going back as Councilmember Munns was mentioning that you referenced, Mayor, in our July workshop that we talked about hiring, or that you were going to have council members involved in the Public Works permanent replacement hiring process. Can you tell us who those 2 council members are?
And which workshop was that in July, did you say?
You sent us all an email when you introduced Mr. Monken, and you said that you would have 2 council members involved in the search for the public replacement or the permanent replacement. And I think what Ms. Munns is referencing is in our employee policy manual, the mayor is able to do for interim or out-of-class assignments a 90-day appointment. And so in both of these cases, it seems that they are, well, the city attorney, that contract runs through the end of 2022. So I'm not sure under what authority it was signed if there's only 90 days allowed at a time for an interim assignment. And so in both cases you reference, I mean, I can read the emails if you want, but that you would have council members involved in both of those processes. And I know that I emailed you with regards to the city attorney and have not heard back. So I'm just curious which council members are on those committees for both the Public Works Director and the city attorney.
So I think the short answer to that is that's when my injury happened, was July. And so I don't believe that we've got that process as far along as we thought we would have. So I don't have an immediate answer to that for you this evening.
But you are aware, and our new attorney is aware of the employee policy manual with regards to 90 days of interim out-of-class assignments and what that authority is.
Yeah, we certainly are aware. Emma
Yes.
House, did you want to?
Sorry. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand other than just raising my hand. The employee policy manual, I would like to just add that there is so if you continue to read in the employee policy manual, it actually says that the mayor is limited to 2 terms of 90 days. Past the 2 terms of 90 days, which would be a total of 180 days, then it requires it to go to confirmation majority vote of council. So the first 90 days is kind of our time to work with the interim director, assess the need, review the job description, begin the plan for recruitment. And then according to our policy manual, we would still have an additional 90 days to go through that recruitment process before ending the 2 terms of 90 days per the policy manual.
So would it make sense? Thank you. Would it make sense to sign a contract for, I don't even know what that math is, 400 and some days, if the maximum time allowed was 180? Is that normal?
So it sounds to me like we can and should review that. If we need to amend the contract, I certainly will do that. If we're beyond what we're supposed to be, I certainly will amend the existing contract. And I think our city attorney actually has talked to me about that already, but I can do that. I will do that.
Yeah, I believe, Mayor, she already submitted a revision to you to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Oborn. So I think that your point's well taken. We'll make sure that that contract is not beyond the length that we're allowed. Any other input or questions?
Mayor,
So I'm not hearing
Councilmember-
anything. Am I? Oh, I see
Councilmember,
Councilor.
yes, Councilmember Wiesner has a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a couple of comments. Unfortunately, I had a family emergency to deal with at the last council meeting and wasn't able to participate in the executive session or any of those comments. And I guess I just have a generalized comment about some of the mayor's comments and some of the comments from council. And I keep hearing this word communicate. And the word I think came up several times. And you know, that's the crux of the issue here, right? I mean, communication and communication between us and administration and us and staff is important. And us being able to speak with staff, I think, is an important part of our position with the city. And you know, if the administration sees otherwise, that needs to be communicated to us. And I'll take some blame here. You know, maybe we're not doing a great job of communicating back to you, right? You know, I can tell you in my time on council, I think I've been specifically asked to come in for a meeting, maybe 2 or 3 occasions with either the city administrator or the mayor. I, of course, have come in and had meetings with both parties on numerous occasions because I'm attempting to communicate. And I'm attempting to do as good a job as I can at it, understanding this is not a full-time position for any of us. But you know, when we do take the time out of our day to come in and communicate or attempt to communicate, we're expecting that back, and it's certainly a two-way street. And I think all parties involved here, we all need to understand the crux of the issue, and we need to figure out a solution, right? I can tell you personally, I'm just going to share one thing that just really upset me. You know, I was talking about holding a picnic for staff this summer. It was something that was passionate. I was passionate about. I made sure my passions were clear to the administration, that it was something that needed to happen. You know, that our staff has gone through a lot, along with us over the last year and a half, and you know, that somewhat sense of normalcy of being able to have staff get together for a day and enjoy a meal together is just so fundamentally important. Well, the picnic occurred, and I was never told about it. Right? I think I was as passionate as I could be about the desire for it to happen, and then I was told later on, oh, yeah, we had it on Tuesday. Sorry, we didn't tell you. Okay, now little thing, right? Little itsy bitsy thing, but it's just indicative, right, of what we all need to do here, right? We need to respect each other's space, but at the same time, we need to respect why we're all here, and that some of us have different reasons for being here than others. I know we're all here for the good of the betterment, but, you know, we're all passionate about the things we're passionate about. That's why we're an elected body of a bunch of different people, right? I try to always be respectful of staff and administration and their passions, and you know, I ask that in return. So with that said, you know, I do want to circle back around to Councilmember Wassinger's comments and Councilmember Munn's comments involving our interactions with staff, which I value so much. I value their time when I show up during their busy workday. I mean, there's times where I stop and actually have a conversation on the side of the street, right? And they're busy. They're there to do a job, and I get it. And the fact that they would take 5 or 6 minutes out of their day to shake my hand and have a short conversation with me is valuable. It's invaluable to me in my service to the city, I feel. So certainly, I think we can all do a better job of communicating, and if there's something going on at the administration side that they would like to be seeing from us differently, let's communicate it. Let's not shut down the lines of communication. Let's not stop talking, which is, quite frankly, it seems like what's happened, right? And you know, I'm not going to say it's anybody's fault. It's COVID's fault, right? I mean, I hate to say passe there, right? But we quit being able to have face-to-face meetings. We quit being able to have interaction. You know, we all wanted to be respectful of each other's space, and, you know, didn't want to come, you know, just barging into, you know, people's offices there for a while, and it's having an impact upon all of us and our ability to do our jobs and communicate with each other. And you know, we've got to solve this, and we've got to understand what the problem is first. And the problem is communication. Now, you know, I certainly appreciate, you know, Blaine's, you know, monthly report. I mean, I actually dig into that when I get a chance. You know, some neat information in there. I mean, if you're a numbers guy, right? How many gallons of fuel we burn each month, right? And how many hours we spend fixing potholes. And, you know, this is all important information for us to understand, but there's the information outside of the numbers that we need to understand. And Beth's right, we need that quick little blurb. Hey, here's what's going on at City Hall. Here's, you know, here's new projects possibly coming to town. Often we don't find out about them until they're presented in the front of us. And you know, Erica brought up a great example. We all have expertise and knowledge here, right, that we can bring to the table to help make the city a better place. Don't shut us out of being able to deliver that, right? Make us part of that, because that's why we're all here. We didn't come here to sit up and have these meetings and do these votes. We all came here because we care about our city and want to do something for it. And by not including us in items, it creates this, right? And it creates what's going on now. And I just, communication, right? 8 great points the council brought up. I obviously was not here to vote on it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I would have voted for the resolution. You know, I know the News Times called me and asked me if I would, and I didn't get back to them. So there's your answer. Because I don't know that we're solving anything here. I'd rather work on the root of the problem, right? And I know a mayor, and I know city administrator, that you're hearing what I'm saying now, right? And you get that it's a plea to resolve this, right? And to resolve this through communication, and to resolve this by working together, right? To resolve this for the better of the community, because that's what we're here for, right? And let's let's move forward. Let's get on this, right? Let's take this for what it is. This is an opportunity for all of us to sit back, take a breath, right? Understand the issues we have at hand and work to resolve them, right? And you know, one of two things are going to happen, right? We're either going to make forward motion or things are going to continue to deteriorate, because lack of communication will lead to nothing but a continued downhill path, right? So rubber's hitting the road, right? It's time to look at what's going on with us, because it has an effect upon our staff, and it's not a good effect, right? They need to know that we're here for them as a unified body, right? We know where our bread is buttered at, right? We don't run the city. That's not our job. The staff does that for us, and we empower them, and we want them to get to yes, and we want them to do a great job and work hard, and then, you know, we send them these mixed messages, and I get it, right? Because we're the ones kind of coming at the end, you know, when lots of times something's already happened, right? And that's when we come along, and that's not what our intentions are. And you know, I'd like to think that I could walk up to any staff member at any time, understanding that their time is valuable, and be able to have that conversation with them. And certainly, if the administration feels as though we're overstepping our bounds in those conversations, again, that's something that needs to be clearly communicated. This is a two-way street, and I know we've all struggled over the last year making that two-way street, and you know, hopefully we can rebuild this road, because you know, right now it needs a little more than resurfacing, right? It needs some repaving, you know, and let's all try to work together to get there, but let's understand the root of the problem, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wiesner. I think that the workshop coming up, we'll try to get as much as we can from the staff. You know, I think that how we communicate and the opportunities, you know, having a quick conversation at an intersection is one thing. Going in and demanding or you know, somebody who answers to a director might be done better, differently. So I certainly hear what you're saying, and we'll try to get as much as we can from staff for the workshop. Thank you. Councilor Heisen, I know you had your hand up earlier. Yeah, Councilor Heisen.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I have a little project, probably for Julie or Tim, if it's okay. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, sorry. Okay. The 3-minute limit on public comment. We used to have a very old school way of helping people keep track of that when I think Renee literally held up a sign that said, 30 seconds or 10 seconds and then stop. And then for a while we had a more high-tech way of doing it where there was the countdown happening on the TV screen on the wall, directly facing the person commenting. And so I'm wondering if we can brainstorm and think of a practical way to have that limit visible, not just to whoever's speaking, but to also those of us in chambers and to the mayor, since you're the one running the meeting, from wherever you happen to be, because with the mixed format, it's kind of difficult to police a little bit. So I'm wondering if someone has a creative idea to be able to have that 3-minute countdown in council chambers. I haven't come up with anything personally, but Blaine's nodding his head, so I think that maybe somebody's on it or somebody has an idea.
So we'll work on that. What do you think?
Thank you.
Yep, staff, thank you. Any other council comments? You know, I'm gonna make one more comment, and I know you're sick and tired of this, but this is good stuff. This weekend, I think we're gonna build our salmon rearing pens again at the marina. We, you know, I've talked about this a couple of times with council, and then we were told that we weren't getting any young fish. And then we communicated and asked why, and we went through I don't know how many month process of trying to get a different name of somebody at the state level. Anyway, long story short, they called us with not a lot of warning, and said, we're going to have 30,000 baby fish for you in November. And of course, we didn't even have a budget to build these pins, which we think are about $7,500. And I told our marina staff that if I guess if I have to pay it, I'll pay it. But that was a fun time in my memory when we had those, and we had the school involved, and our marina staff has already talked to the Angler Association. I believe that they said they would not only help build the pins, but pay for $3,000 towards the $7,500 fee. But anyway, this Saturday, they intend to build 2 pins, and it's going to happen, potentially that quick. Get it done in time to have them in the water and be able to accept those baby fish in November. So that'll be fun stuff. I hope you agree. And I just did not include that in my comments. So I don't see any other council. So where is my agenda? We will move on then, I guess.
Mayor, can I just say congratulations on the salmon?
Our next item is 7A, which is Resolution 2126, Utility Balance Payment Plan and Late Fee Disconnection Mitigation Measures. And I believe we have our Finance Director, David Goldman. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council, City Administrator, staff. David Goldman, Finance Director. So this item is concerning the Governor's Shutoff and Late Fee Moratorium end. So this presentation is divided up into 6 different sections: background, late accounts and statistics, timeline, customers, proposed customer safeguards, resources available for our customers, and finally the motion, suggested motion. So a little bit of a background. Now, Governor Inslee made a number of COVID-19 related proclamations over the last 2 years. Proclamation 20-2316 extended an earlier proclamation that prohibited water utility providers and other utility providers as well, but we'll focus on water here because that's what we provide, and that was the subject of the proclamation. So it prohibited them from charging late fees, disconnecting customers, and refusing to reconnect customers through the end of September 2021, which just passed. At the end of, see here, on the late accounts and statistics. So just taking a look at the statistics on our utility accounts as of the end of September 2021, we had 174 significantly late customers, which is defined as being having a balance that's over 90 days old. That equates to about 2.8% of all of our customers. The average unpaid balance is a little over $1,000. Now, broken down by different cohorts, you can see that there's 80 accounts with balances under $500. That totaled about $16,000. The 28 accounts with balances between $500 and $1,000 totaled around $20,000. And the 66 accounts with balances over $1,000 totaled $157,000. The total balances that are over 90 days old for those 174 customers is just under $200,000. This is a histogram of what that looks like. On the bottom, you'll see the 174 accounts, and then running up and down, you'll see the dollar amount of those balances. There are a few very large outliers. Those deal mostly with homeowner associations, but you'll see the majority of them hover around the $1,000 range. That's why the average is about $1,000. So the late fee breakdown. Now, right now, late fees are off, and we'll go over the timeline of when they're going to come back on. But this is how late fees work. Per the master fee schedule that was adopted by the city council, there's a minimum charge of $15, and then under 1%, about 2/3 of 1% of the outstanding balance. So looking at that average balance, the $1,100 that I showed on a different screen, that late fee would be about $22.44. Just to give a little bit of example, the late fee on a $500 balance would be $18.35. On a $1,000 balance would be $21.70. And on a $2,000 balance would be $28.40. So the timeline, this is the timeline for late fees and disconnections. So the first billing period after the moratorium expires will start in a couple days on October 21st and will end on November 20th. The due date for that cycle will be on December 20th. Late fees will start to accrue the very next day if they don't make that payment. They have a month to make the payment. And if not paid by January 1st, service disconnections will occur. So knowing that we have an unusual number of balances compared to normal times, the proposal for this resolution is to exclude balances prior to the expiration of the moratorium from late fees and disconnections on two conditions. One, if they pay their balance in full. So if they pay it off, they don't have to worry about any of that. Two, considering some of these balances are pretty large, if they sign up for a payment plan and permit payment plans of up to 18 months. Currently, we have 3 to 6 months payment plans, but because these balances are larger than we're used to, we figure having the flexibility of going up to 18 months might help out the customers who are going through tough times and also help us bring in that revenue. And this will be in place as long as they abide by the terms of the payment plan. Late fees on the balance, on the applicable balance, will not accrue and disconnections will be deferred. But just remember, as long as they abide by the terms of the payment plan. So there are some resources that can help folks go ahead and pay their bills. There's a low income discount program. There's the Island County Human Services. There's the Contact Washington 211. There's a low income home energy assistance program. And there's also the Opportunity Council. We have been notifying our customers of these resources. We put it on our website, and we will be putting it into utility billing stuffers that'll be going out real soon, and we'll be doing it again next month and the month after that too. We just really want people to reach out who are behind and talk to our staff, and we'll be able to bring steer them to the resources that they need, and hopefully be able to get them on a payment plan if they're not able to pay off their bill in full. Now, also keep in mind, this is going to be a lot of work compared to what our utility billing office is used to. So what we're asking for is, due to the expiration of this moratorium, and also we're going through another change too. We're moving all of our business licenses over from our system to the state system, and that'll require us contacting about 1,700 businesses to let them know this is happening and give them instructions, and probably be doing a lot of phone calls and stuff. So we're asking for a 1-year term limited cashier to be funded by the American Rescue Plan Act money. We're going to bring this forward at the workshop next month. There's a bunch of things that the council subcommittee are recommending for funding, and this is something that came after the last meeting. So, we'll put it up there for council consideration at the workshop, next week. But I'm just giving you a heads up now that this will be a request. Next. So in the resolution, these are the 4 points of the resolution. Water utility late fees and penalties will not apply to unpaid balances during the moratorium, which was March 23rd, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. The Finance Department will help direct city utility customers to outside agencies for financial assistance for those utility payments and also for unpaid balances. The Finance Department will also work with our customers to set up payment plans of up to 18 months for unpaid balances that occurred during that period of time. And customers who enter into a payment plan will not have their service disconnected and will not have late fees or penalties accrue as long as they abide by the terms of the payment plan. So I put a suggested motion up on the screen, but this is the time for any questions or discussion. I also have some of our utility billing staff available too to answer your questions if you want to get into the details of how how that function works. So the floor is open.
Thank you, David. So before we do that, I'll turn to Julie and see if we've gotten any kind of input from our public regarding this.
Thank you, Mayor. No, we received no comments from the public on this item.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So now we'll go back to council for questions. I can't see any hands, but
Mayor,
help me, Julie.
I believe Councilmember Wiesner had his hand up first.
Okay, Councilor Wiesner.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, David, this is a no-brainer, right? This is something we need to do for the citizens of our town, right, who've suffered during this time. I just want to make sure we're getting it into the right hands of the right people, and we're doing this for the right people. Can you explain a little more to me about the few large accounts that you mentioned were like mainly HOAs and such? Why would they be in arrears?
That's a good question. I think we have some staff members who might be able to give a little bit more, shed a little bit more light on those particular outliers. And if not, we can always just get back to you on that too. But I have Chaz and Sonny on the line. If they're available to chime in, that would probably help. And if you don't have an answer, that's fine too. We'll look it up.
I would have to look it up to get an exact reason, but my best guess is that the people who needed to pay into those HOAs, they couldn't pay because of COVID. So any kind of residents within that HOA couldn't pay their dues, and that left our HOA unable to pay us.
Okay, and that was Sonny Wolf, the utility billing manager, for everybody's information.
Well, I mean, you can get my concern, right? We've got 66 accounts that make up $197,000 of this. So there's 66 accounts that make up 80%, and then you've got the other 80% of the accounts making up the 20%. And if there's any way we can provide additional assistance to those folks on the lower end of the spectrum, I'd love to see us do that. And I just want to make sure that we're not pulling in folks that are going to see this as a windfall. Now, obviously, there's no forgiveness here. It's just a matter of carrying out payments. And I mean, the reality is we are forgiving late fees, but we're forgiving late fees in an attempt to be able to collect a debt over a longer term, which may otherwise be tough to collect, especially the HOA ones, right? So.
And also, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but we talked to a few different cities like Linwood, Kirkland, Bainbridge Island, a few different places about what are they doing. And, we asked that question, are you just waiving balances? Are you just writing them off? And nobody said they were doing that. They were all saying, no, we're not waiving any balances. We're trying to help people pay. We're trying to get them back into payment status. And we're also going to steer them towards whatever resources they have in their counties too. I know for the Opportunity Council, by the way, we're going to have an agreement with the Opportunity Council at the November 3rd meeting. They have a program where they're going to help pay your water bills if you make up to 150% of the poverty level, depending on your family size. And that'll help folks who are really, really hurting, who really couldn't pay their bills and really need some help. And there's other assistance here as well. So we are trying to steer folks to get the assistance they need as long as they qualify for it as well.
Well, and I appreciate that. I know staff works really hard at that. I've actually heard staff at the counter helping direct people there, and they do a really great job. And that's exactly where I guess I'm heading with this, David. I want to make sure that we're getting help down to the people who need it the most, the folks that are struggling the most. And I don't want to waste a ton of resources on maybe, some business clients that you know, and I'm not saying the businesses don't need help too, but I'm just saying, you know, you get what I'm saying. I want to spend the time on the folks that need it the most, and let's make sure that we're not spending a whole lot of time on the folks that are, you know, going to get through this without our help. All right? And appreciate all the efforts. And I mean, this is obviously a no-brainer for me to support. It's hitting right at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wiesner. Other council questions, input? Julie?
Mayor,
Anybody else?
Councilmember Mack has his hand up, followed by Councilmember Servadius.
Okay, Councilor Mack?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I agree with Councilmember Wiesner. Let's make sure that the money goes and the help where it needs to be. Some of the other questions Mr. Goldman answered I had there, but yes, I'm concerned both about the residents and the businesses. It's tough times out there, and so I can definitely support some type of payment plan. Let's get it as lucrative as possible. Mr. Goldman, it could possibly be on a sliding scale based on the our customers' I want to say their employment status, and so you know if they can't do as much right up front as they could do down the road, let's work with them the best we can. So, and I appreciate all the staff. It's tough getting to customers, and they're hurting and trying to get money out of them. It's not a fun thing, and so I appreciate the staff's patience on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Councilor Servadius?
Thank you. So I guess I would just share the same concerns as Councilmember Wiesner and Councilmember Mack. Absolutely, wholeheartedly support the spirit of what's been put in front of us tonight. I'm not in a position to vote on this tonight, or I wouldn't vote on it, only because of exactly what Mr. Wiesner led with. I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there, but if Home Depot or Walmart is on that list, right, that doesn't make any sense. So I'd like a little more information on the histogram that you put up there. Make sure that we are, I forget if it's Mr. Mack or Mr. Wiesner said, getting this, you know, to the people that need it the most. And the other question I had was on point number 4. It was on your slide, and it's here in our packet. Basically, it says, as long as they abide, so in our packet, it's on page 53, or here it's on the screen as well. Customers who enter into a payment plan will not have their service disconnected or have late fees or penalties accrue as long as they're able to abide by the terms of the payment plan. That makes sense. So what happens, Mr. Goldman, when someone signs up for a payment plan and their second month in, they're late again, or they start running another balance? Are you following me?
Yeah, we thought about that. So if somebody misses a payment, we're going to call them. We're going to get in contact with them. And if we can't get in contact with them or they're not able to pay, you know, we're going to have to just follow what's in the code. We're just going to have to go through the process of shutoffs and then collections, unless there's other direction from the city council. I think we have to fall back to what's in the city code, you know, what's in the Oak Harbor Municipal Code, and to follow those guidelines.
Okay, thank you. I think you answered it right there at the end. So hypothetically, I'll just make round numbers. If someone had a $1,200 balance and they wanted to pay $100 a month to get caught up, so 12 months, $100 a month, they're caught up, but they get behind on their new or their current, so they're making their payment plan payments on time, but they get behind on their current water bill or utility bill. Is that what you're referencing? That would, then we would just have to, at that point, utilize the code as we have it?
I mean, if they miss their current bill or if they miss the payment plan, because it's going to be one, you know, it's going to be one lump sum kind of, you know, you're going to have your regular bill for whatever it is, $100, and then you'll have your, whether it's $150, and then you'll have your, the payment plan, which might be another $100. If you're not able to make that full amount, you know, we're going to have to, I mean, we'll work with you, we'll call you up, try to get you back into payment. But if we're not able to do that and you're not able to utilize the resources that we showed in the other screen, we're just going to have to fall back on the Oak Harbor Municipal Code and go through the process, you know, shut offs, and then, you know, go to collections.
So this is why, go ahead, Sonny.
part of the reason that we want to extend the payment plans is so we can accommodate people's needs. We want them to be able to pay their current bill, their payment plan. We want them to have something in place that works for them so that they don't fall behind. Right now with the 3 and 6 month plans, they're not going to be able to. We'll run into this issue more often. If we get up to 18 months and we can find something that works within their world, that'll keep them on track better and keep everybody's water on. And we can also build things into the payment plans so that they understand what's happening if they default. That interest fees and late fees can be included if they default, that disconnections can still occur. And then information on liens and anything that could follow if they default on their payment plans. So just having that information up front, but also having the availability for them to extend out up to 18 months is going to keep everybody on track. That said, the payment plans are a very difficult process on our end. So the request for the temporary cashier is really just so that we can pump these out. It takes about 15 minutes for us to get one payment plan loaded. Everything has to be manually entered. We have to track them manually. And right now we're already understaffed. So that extra cashier and really getting that cashier in as soon as possible is essential to allowing us to assist customers as best as we can.
Thank you. So I wholeheartedly support the extra position. I understand that. And if we can use the ARPA funding for that, that's great. I wholeheartedly support the spirit of what's in front of us and 18 months. But I think we need just a little bit more worked out in the details because once again, I'll state the question. If someone has a payment plan and they've agreed over 18 months to pay a certain dollar amount, they don't necessarily know, they know approximately what their utility bill is, but depending on water usage, for a lot of folks, it probably goes up in the summer because we have a tiered system for water charges. So if we say, if you are late or miss any payment, that's one thing, versus if you're late or miss your payment plan, that's something else. So I just want to be clear on what we're expecting them to do. Right now, there's a motion in front of us tonight to approve this resolution, which I'm not comfortable doing because I need to know if they agree to a payment plan and they're totally current on the payment plan and they're current on their current charges, whatever those are each month, they're good to go, obviously. But if they miss a current charge, but they're current on their repayment plan, is it all down the tubes? They don't have another month to catch up? So those are the finer details, I guess, that I need worked out. Thank you.
Yeah, and we could definitely get back to you on that.
Mayor Pro Tem Munns has her hand up.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Mr. Goldman, I think there's a misnomer that people think the city can charge anything they want to for the utilities. But I know we go through a lot of audits and we really can't make money off of it. And if you could explain that, because we can't
Sure.
gift something. Is I can remember when Anacortes raises our bill for water, we've got to immediately pass it over. We can't wait 2 or 3 months because then we're gifting. If you could give some explanation,
Sure,
because I
sure.
think people misunderstand, please, sir.
Absolutely, yeah. Our utility funds are called proprietary funds. They're what's considered business type, like government business type activities. We have 5 of them. We have water, wastewater, storm drain, solid waste, and we also have marina. Those funds are supposed to get the majority of their funding from ratepayers. So every few years, a rate study is performed. You know, usually you hire an outside expert who does this all the time for cities all over Washington state. And they take a look at the current status of each one of those water, wastewater, storm drain and solid waste and utilities. And they look at the projected revenues that will be coming in, including the ratepayer revenues, and they also look at the expenses. And those expenses include the cost to provide the water. We have to pay, we have to pay on a quotas for the water. We also have to pay maintenance of the infrastructure to get the water to the homes. We also have to pay labor. We have to pay our staff to maintain those pipes and to do the work to make sure that things run smoothly. All those things cost money. Also, we have capital projects. Pipes get old, they have to be replaced. There's facilities wells that pump the water, for example. There's a lot of different infrastructure needs when it comes to water and wastewater and all those facilities. So those all have to be built in to the budget projections going out 3 to 5 years. And and there's also reserve requirements because we did take out debt for the wastewater plant. We have to make sure that we have proper reserve requirements built in to ensure that we're meeting all the bond covenants as well. But we also have reserve policies that we have to meet in addition to that. So all those things are taken into consideration by the rate study experts, and they come up with what the rates will have to be going forward in order to make sure we're meeting all the obligations and all the requirements to continue providing the water utility at the levels that we need to provide to the residents and the citizens.
Thank you. Another question I have, and I was surprised when I first got onto council, are sometimes there's medical necessities in a home, and they get behind on their water bill, and we're gonna send them a notice. It used to be they didn't get a bill for every other month, so the bill really got big quick. So I'm glad we changed that. But anyway, it's a necessity for a medical condition that they have to have the water, or they have to have the electricity to run some kind of special machine that has to do, and I know it's not published, but I know they have talked to utility people to be sure that we're not heartless. We don't just cut that off if we really know there is a medical necessity. And I think some people think the city or the council, we sit here and we make these rules. It's not, we've got to obey the law, but also there are some other avenues like you're doing now. This is great with different agencies that can help people. And sometimes they may need to go to 2 or 3 of them to get some help to make it work. So I'm really proud of our staff for doing this. A second question is, because it all has to be hand entered, is there some way if we need to hire another cashier, let's say just for 5 months, or a temp, could we possibly find some money to be able to do that? Because I know you're already down 1 utility person, so we're going to hire one to help get through these forms. But the reality is we could probably use 2 utilities, one to put us back up to full staff, but the other one to help with the overload. So has that been considered too, in order to get this processed in a timely fashion and to help people that, no kidding, really need it?
Well, we were thinking if we get the 1 cashier to be funded with ARPA, and they'll be full-time, 40 hours a week, they're going to help out with this, they're going to help out taking the phone calls and working with the folks, getting the information for the, for the payment plans, and also doing the other work that the other staff is doing because they're short-staffed. But we're also going to be doing a few other things. We're going to be shifting over to the state's business license system, and we're going to need some, additional labor for that to make sure that goes smoothly and to contact all those business owners. And we're looking for efficiencies as well when it comes to utility billing. We're looking for some technological improvements and other things as well. So I think for the next 12 months, the additional staff will really be key and really be able to help out utility billing, during this time of need.
Well, I'm sure if you get so many months into this and find that we really do need a second person,
of course.
I don't think anyone on council would be shy to have an emergency meeting. We've done it occasionally, not often, to be able to get something in place for something that's in crisis. Let's see. Shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. We will monitor, yeah, we're going to monitor the activities and the workload, and we will definitely let the, let the mayor and the council know if the need arises.
All right, so Councilman Servadius has some questions that didn't seem to be answered about. They're making their payment plan, and they have made a few of their current bills. I think Sonny said they were trying to roll it into just one payment that would cover both. But shoot, just went out of my head. Okay.
Mayor, Councilmember Wassinger has a question as well.
Oh, can you hear me, Mayor?
I'm sorry, Julie, I missed that. Who?
Councilmember Wassinger has a question.
Oh, okay. Councilor Wassinger.
Oh, thank you. So I think for me, what I'd like to see, and I didn't see it in our packet or in the supplemental information, is there going to be a legal document that's given to people regarding the payment plan and to answer for not just for us, if we could see that, but for those customers, like what exactly the terms are of that payment plan. I think that's basically what we're all asking for, is what the customer's going to see legally regarding the payment plan, the terms of that plan. It's just like all of us having a loan, right, or a credit card, or we get a bunch of pages of all of the legalities of it. So I think I would like to see that, and I think that's what a couple of council members are alluding to. If there is a legal document drawn up, if there's going to be one, I would suggest that there was one, so that the customers know and we know and staff knows what's going on. And I think if we could get our hands on that, I would like to have my hands on that before I vote on this as well.
What we're going to do is we're going to take the current payment plan, document that we have, and we're going to just make a few adjustments to it to make sure that people understand, please abide by the terms of the, the payment plan and what the consequences will be and those kind of things, so they understand that. And then we were going to send it over to legal for them to take a look at it, to work it over, and then we were going to send that out to council for them to take a look at. What we created, so council can provide their input and we can make further adjustments. But we're thinking that, if we got the authority tonight to go ahead and go up to 18 months, then we would go ahead and do that and then bring it back to council November 3rd or so to show them what we were able to create in conjunction with legal.
Okay, so the motion tonight is to set up the payment plans for balances. So when we say that, you mean set up the legal document to set up that payment plan? I'm sorry, I'm not following.
The motion tonight, currently we only have authority to go to 3 to 6 months for payment plans, and the crux of the motion tonight is to allow us to go to 18 months because these balances are higher than
Yes.
usual.
Oh yes, we all understand that.
Yeah.
I'm okay giving you the authority or okay to set up that legal 18-month repayment plan to basically to amend our current payment plan. But I guess I would just like to see it before it's put into motion, if that makes sense.
I get it. So we can approve the resolution with a condition that we bring back what the payment plan is going to look like after legal has, looked it over by the November 3rd meeting.
Perfect. I would feel more comfortable with that. Thank you so much. I'll yield to my council members before I make a motion.
Okay.
I have a small follow-up question with that one. Our October 20th bill went out with a stuffer encouraging people to sign up for either the 3 or 6 month plans, which we already have in place. So customers are going to call as soon as October 21st and be asking about signing up for at least the 3 or 6 months for now. So are you wanting to approve that before? We already have those in place.
I mean, I don't think approval is necessary
Yeah, I don't
for
think
those
we need
because we
to
already have
approve a
those in
current
place.
policy. Yeah, I think you can, I mean, if customers want to do the current policy, the current rules that are already in place, I don't think we need to approve that. I think it's just moving it to the 18th month is what we need to approve, because that will be new, and that will basically, in my mind, be a new contract, even if it's a revision of the old one that I think I agree I would like to see before it's put into place with the customers. Thank you.
Mayor, Councilmember Heisen has her hand up, and then Mayor Pro Tem Muntz.
Okay, Councilor Heisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to see a little more detail, but I'm comfortable with passing the resolution subject to receiving the rest of the detail on the November 3rd meeting, if the rest of the council is also comfy with that. Sounds like you guys have a pretty good handle on it, but I have some of the same questions, so I'd like to see those details. I am curious about the additional cashier. I'm looking and I don't see that as part of the resolution. Did you say you were going to bring that to us at the workshop?
Yeah, that wouldn't be part of the resolution. That's going to be brought at the workshop next week, along with a bunch of other items that the subcommittee recommended for funding. And then once we get feedback at the workshop next week, then we'll have a budget amendment to amend the budget with the American Rescue Plan funds to fund the items that the City Council provides consensus and direction on funding at next week's workshop.
Okay, perfect. I'm getting a cashier and another cashier in the building as soon as possible I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. So next week is great. And it sounded like somebody else had a question, so I will defer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Heisen. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Since we already have the action item on the workshop, and since Sunny explained that they've already put the stuffers in that they can sign up for the program we already have in place, couldn't we take action? I don't know if there's enough time for them to get it to the workshop. I don't know how fast they want to get that 18 months policy in. Could we also roll that into the workshop, or does it need to be the Wednesday, November 3rd meeting? I mean, I don't want to delay people getting help, but I think we need to have a clearer picture on so that they're okay on one and not the other. Or are they being rolled in together, the current bill and the late payment bill, to try to catch them up? I'm just having a little confusion on that. I agree it should be 18 months and then case by case basis if it needed to go a little bit longer. I mean, if someone has a $58,000 late payment already, I think 18 months may not be enough time for them. But if they're earnest and they're making a commitment and they're doing it, but it's not going to quite be all paid off. So I just, if we've got something in place that's going to work, can we wait till next week and then see what else we can add to it to get it approved? I just want to be sure we've got all the checks and balances, that's all.
Yeah, that's understandable. And I know Chaz Webster has done some of these payment plans in the past, and she may be able to lend some expertise on the process of if they miss a payment plan payment versus missing just a regular payment, or how that whole process works. Chaz, do you have any wisdom for us here?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So in the past, if it was an active account, they were expected, per the payment plan agreement, the contract that the customer signed, they were expected to pay their regular monthly bill concurrent with the payment plan payment. And if they did not, they would be in default And we would have to go along the normal course of disconnection notices and or collections after that. But I can tell you since 2014, when I managed the office, nobody has went into default, and most of the time the people paid they didn't even have to go through the whole term of the payment agreement because they paid it off within 2 months or so. So they did, they didn't have to actually go the full term of the payment plan. With COVID and with this moratorium balance, I agree we're going to have to really just take into consideration people and their particular situations. 18 months, I think, is, we're going to look at those balances, I'm sure, and see what an 18-month term would be for maybe our highest balance, would be my recommendation. But to answer the question about what was expected under the current payment plan, they were expected to pay that monthly bill together with the payment plan payment. And the agreement did state in there that late charges and water shutoffs could occur if they were defaulted.
Okay, and I'm guessing there's still a few medical necessities that you were working with those clients, citizens?
It was a case-by-case basis on that,
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, if we were contacted by a business, but I don't believe that we've ever had a situation. I know we have a kidney dialysis business here in town, but we've never had an issue with having to face a shut-off with them. But if we did have anybody come across that had a special situation, it was always brought to management and they would make a determination.
Okay, so obviously some council members have a few questions they'd like answered. So can we do part of this motion and make sure it keeps going, or does it have to be all of it tonight? I'm trying to see your timeline to be sure we're not holding back funding to help families.
Well, I was thinking if we do the motion with the condition that I talked about earlier, I just want to make sure that there'll be enough time for me to work with our legal team in order to get something on the workshop agenda for next week. I know the internal agenda deadline has passed, but that doesn't mean something that the council has specifically requested can't make it onto the agenda next week. It's just a matter of how soon can we get something back and work out the details with legal in order to make sure that, our staff is on board with something that makes sense and that legal is okay with it, and then we bring it to council for further input. We can try for next week, to satisfy that condition.
Is the timing that has to be approved by the workshop, or can it wait till the November 3rd? I'm not clear on how you're trying to put this all together. If they've already put, I believe Sunny said they've stuffed in the 3 to 6 month payment plan, and that's in place and we don't need to approve it, it's already there, they've been using it. Can they start using that and then switch to the 18 months?
I think we could work with them to do that. We can get them on the 3 or 6 months, and we could tell them, the 18-month one's coming. We're just working out some more details. City council's taking a look at it, but hopefully we'll have the 18-month one for you within the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mayor, Councilmember Wassinger has her hand up.
Yeah, I think it's not so much, I think it's more I would like legal to look at the new revised contract with customers for the new payment plan. I think that's my biggest thing that I would like to see. I agree with everything that's being done. I just would like to have legal confirm and make sure that the terms and are correct with the customers, and we all understand them, and the customers understand them, and staff understands them, of course, and that's mostly the part that I would like to see before I approve. Going forward to do it, and is that already in the works? Do you already have drafted up the 18-month terms? And is legal, is that something that they're going to look at, or were you guys just gonna just throw it out there, or where are you in that process as staff?
We were planning on getting that to legal tomorrow for their review.
Okay, so that's good. And then, so that should be by the workshop, at least we could have I'm not sure how long these things take, but, or how long it would take our new legal to overlook it. But as soon as it's ready, I know things take time, but I would be willing to approve it as soon as legal had their eyes on it. So I don't know what the timeline is for sure, but that's my thoughts.
Mayor?
So,
Councilmember Wiesner has his hand
Yes.
up.
Thank you, Mayor, and I actually think Councilmember Mack was first, but what I was going to suggest was moving forward with the motion and just simply adding that the policy document will be presented to council for input and approval prior to distribution. That gives the staff the ability to start putting these programs together, not leaving people out there hanging. Let's face it, we go to people with a $2,000 bill and we say we're going to give you 6 months to pay it, but if you wait a couple of weeks, you may get some more. That's just causing increased angst, and I don't see a reason behind that. So if it's okay with everybody else, I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 20-26, authorizing the ability to set up payment plans for utility balances that were accrued prior to the expiration date of the prohibitions on disconnections, refusing to reconnect, and charging late fees contained in Governor's Proclamation 20-23-16, and to mitigate collection of late fees and service disconnections. A copy of the final policy document will be provided to council for input and approval prior to distribution.
Second.
Second.
okay, we got a motion and a second, and it begins by exactly like the recommended action, and then with the addition of, I don't know whether you got that or not, Julie.
Yes, sir, I do.
If you want to read the additional
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
words.
The final sentence would include a copy of the final policy document will be provided to council prior to distribution. Do I have that right, sir?
I would actually like to have in there for council's input and approval prior to distribution. I think that's the intent of council here.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to read that one more time then?
I will attempt it. I'm writing while we're talking.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. And please correct me, council member, if I don't include the wording. I'm writing it in two spots. A copy of the final policy document will be provided to council for review and approval before distribution.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilor Wiesner and a second by Councilor Heisen. Questions? I can't see any hands. Julie? Are we ready for the vote?
Yes, Mayor, there are no hands in chambers.
Okay, all in favor signify by raising your hand, please. Is that unanimous?
Yes, Mayor, that is unanimous if
Okay.
Councilmember Heisen has her hand up.
He does also. Okay, that passes 6, all, that's unanimous then. Okay, great, thank you. We will now move on to item number 9A. Am I right there? Review the current City of Oak Harbor Lodging Tax Advisory Committee membership roster and make changes as appropriate. And I actually think David Goldman's going to be covering this one also. David?
Alrighty. So can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
Excellent. This is a one-slide presentation. It's all about bullets. Per Oak Harbor Municipal Code 2.66.030, the City Council annually reviews the current lodging tax committee membership and makes changes as appropriate. The current membership was included in the agenda bill backup. The Collector 2 position is currently vacant. This position's term expires on December 31st, 2021. The LTAC will be meeting over the next few weeks to consider grant applications for 2022. The grant window closed on the 15th, and we are preparing the documents for the LTAC committee to review and to go over, to go over and rank and rate, and then decide, recommendations for funding to the full City Council. We received an application from Courtney Payne. She qualifies for the collector position as the manager of one of the hotels in town. Mayor Severns recommends Courtney Payne for the position of Collector 2 to fill the remainder of this term and for appointment for the next 3-year term, which starts on January 1st. So I put a few options together. So I lied, it's 2 slides, not 1 slide, but I put a few options together. Option 1 would be to make a motion to appoint Courtney Payne for the remainder of this term. Option 2 would be to appoint Courtney Payne for the remainder of this term and for the next term starting on January 1st, 2022. Or option 3 is to take no action. Or maybe another option I haven't thought of. We're available to answer any questions you have, and the floor is open.
So before we go to the council, I want to make sure with Julie that we've got no input from the public.
That's correct, Mayor. We had no input from the public on this item.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, back to council. I can't see hands.
Mayor,
Okay.
Councilmember Wassinger has her hand up.
Councilor Wassinger.
Oh, yes, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, just a technical question, that it's not like city council or mayor where they have to be a resident of the city to serve. I just wanted to clarify that because she did check no in that. And I just want to make sure before we do that we're following all the rules for the LTAC committee. That's my only question. Thank you.
So
I could chime in. I want to say I don't believe they have to be a resident, but they have to fulfill the functions of the duties, which we have collectors and we have payers. So since this hotel is a collector, and this person is the manager of that hotel, and I think, we've had folks in the past who are managers of hotels who don't live in the city. I think it would be fine, but then again, I'm not an attorney. I would hate to give legal advice. So that would be something I would, request maybe the city attorney weigh in on.
Thank you, and I'm sure we will find out if we're wrong. Yes, I'm totally fine with this. Thank you.
Mayor, Councilmember Wiesner has his hand up.
Councilor Wiesner.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a no-brainer when we get a citizen to volunteer to help us out. So I'd like to make the motion to appoint Courtney Payne for the remainder of the term and the next term on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and second, and it's option number 2 to appoint Courtney Payne for the remainder of the term and for the next term. Motion made by Councilor Wiesner, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any other questions or input? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Is that unanimous there?
Yes, it
Real
is,
quick.
Mayor. That is
I'm sorry to
unanimous.
interrupt. Was that a motion to appoint her for the remainder of this term, or to also appoint her to the remainder of this term and the next term?
It was the second.
Okay.
Option number 2.
All right.
And Mayor, yes, that is unanimous.
And I think that just passed unanimously, is that right?
Yes, Mayor, that vote was unanimous.
Okay, so that actually concludes our regular business for this evening. I believe that we will go into our own, I don't have the detail on that in front of me, so help me, Julie. I think we'll just conclude this meeting, call it concluded, and then council actually goes into union negotiations in a closed session.
That's
Is that correct? Any other
Mayor.
council business? Okay, then we will adjourn. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Looks like that, raise your hands, please. Good, looks like that's unanimous, so we will adjourn. And we'll see you in closed negotiations in a minute.